Barr, thank you for speaking first to CBS News.
Hi, Catherine.
What action has the Justice Department taken today in the Michael Flynn case?
We dismissed, or are moving to dismiss, the charges against General Flynn. At any stage during a proceeding, even after an indictment or a conviction or a guilty plea, the department can move to dismiss the charges if we determine that our standards of prosecution have not been met. And as you recall, in January, General Flynn moved to withdraw his plea and also alleged misconduct by the government. And at that time, I asked a very seasoned U.S. attorney who had spent 10 years as an FBI agent and 10 years as a career prosecutor, Jeff Jensen from St. Louis, to come in and take a fresh look at this whole case. And he found some additional material. And last week he came in and briefed me and made a recommendation that we dismiss the case, which I fully agreed with, as did the U.S. Attorney in D.C. So we moved to dismiss the case.
So this decision to dismiss by the Justice Department, this all came together really within the last week based on new evidence.
Right. Well, U.S. Attorney Jensen, since January, has been investigating this, and he reported to me last week.
Mm-hmm. Does Judge Sullivan have a say?
Yes, under the rules, the case can be dismissed with leave of court. Now, generally, the courts have said that that provision is in there to protect defendants, to make sure the government doesn't play games by bringing a charge and then dismissing it, bringing another charge, dismissing it. But he does have a say.
But is the Flynn case effectively over today from the Justice Department's point of view?
We think the case against Flynn for false statements should be dismissed as far as the Department of Justice is concerned.
Last thing most Americans remember about General Flynn is that he resigned, was fired, and that he admitted lying to the FBI. Does the fact remain that he lied?
Well, you know, people sometimes plead to things that turn out not to be crimes, and the Department of Justice is not persuaded that this was material to any legitimate counterintelligence investigation. So it was not a crime.
Are you doing the president's bidding in General Flynn's case?
No, I'm doing the law's bidding. I'm doing my duty under the law as I see it.
You know you're going to take a lot of incoming for this decision. Are you prepared for that?
Yeah, I'm prepared for that. But I also think it's sad that nowadays these partisan feelings are so strong that people have lost any sense of justice.
Has this been one of the most consequential decisions that you have made as Attorney General?
I don't know. I let other people judge that. It certainly, I feel good about the decision because that's what we're here to do. We're here to do what's right.
Not what's easy.
Right.
Was it an easy decision?
It was an easy decision, yes. I think easy because once I saw all the facts and some of the tactics used by the FBI in this instance, and also the legal problems with the case, it was an easy decision. You know, one thing people will see when they look at the documents is how Director Comey purposely went around the Justice Department and ignored Deputy Attorney General Yates. Mm-hmm. Deputy Attorney General Yates, I've disagreed with her about a couple of things, but, you know, here she upheld the fine tradition of the Department of Justice. She said that the new administration has to be treated just like the Obama administration, and they should go and tell the White House about their findings. You know, Director Comey ran around that.
Mm-hmm. When the special counsel report was released last year, you were accused by critics of putting your thumb on the scale in the president's favor. Are you doing the president's bidding in General Flynn's case?
No, I'm doing the law's bidding. I'm doing my duty under the law as I see it.
Did you consult or discuss the decision in any way with President Trump?
No.
Did you advise the White House that you had made this decision?
No, they were aware because of the schedule that the department would be saying something in court, and I said that we would be filing we'd make up our mind what to do and file sometime before Monday, but file our responses to what was going on in court. But other than that, no.
So the White House became aware of the decision when it filed today?
Yes.
Not earlier?
No. This is a particular episode, but we view it as part of a number of related acts, and we're looking at the whole pattern of conduct.
The whole pattern of conduct before
And after.
and after.
Yeah, the election.
After
Yes.
the election. You talk about the importance of timing in this decision. What was the evidence that helped you decide this issue?
I think a very important evidence here was that this was not a bona fide counterintelligence investigation, was that they were closing the investigation. In December, they started that process, and on January 4th, they were closing it. And that when they heard about the phone call, which the FBI had the transcripts to, there was no question as to what was discussed. The FBI knew exactly what was discussed, and General Flynn, being the former director of the DIA, said to them, you listen to everything. You know what was said. So there's no mystery about the call, but they initially tried some theories of how they could open another investigation, which didn't fly. And then they found out that they had not technically closed the earlier investigation, and they kept it open for the express purpose of trying to lay a perjury trap for General Flynn. They didn't warn him the way we usually would be required by the department. They bypassed the Justice Department. They bypassed the protocols at the White House and so forth. These were things that persuaded me that there was not a legitimate counterintelligence investigation going on.
What are the consequences for these individuals?
Well, I don't want to, we're in the middle of looking at all of this, John Durham's investigation, and the U.S. Attorney Jensen, I'm going to ask him to do some more work on different items as well. And I'm going to wait till all the evidence is and I get their recommendations as to what they found and how serious it is. But if we were to find wrongdoing in the sense of any criminal act, obviously we would follow through on that. But again, just because something may even stink to high heaven and appear everyone to be bad, we still have to apply the right standard and be convinced that there's a violation of a criminal statute and that we can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. The same standard applies to everybody.
What are the consequences for these individuals?
Well, I don't want to, we're in the middle of looking at all of this, John Durham's investigation, and the U.S. Attorney Jensen, I'm going to ask him to do some more work on different items as well. And I'm going to wait till all the evidence is and I get their recommendations as to what they found and how serious it is. But if we were to find wrongdoing in the sense of any criminal act, obviously we would follow through on that. But again, just because something may even stink to high heaven and appear everyone to be bad, we still have to apply the right standard and be convinced that there's a violation of a criminal statute and that we can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. The same standard applies to everybody.
Does Director Wray have what it takes to make the changes at the FBI?
Yeah, as I've said, he's been a great partner to me in our effort to restore the American people's confidence in both the Department of Justice and the FBI. And we work very well together, and I think both of us know that we have to step up, that it's very important to restore the American people's confidence.
Does he have his arms around the gravity of what happened in 2016 and 2017?
I think he does.
Newly declassified footnotes in the Horowitz report suggest that the Steele dossier was likely the product of Russian disinformation, and there were multiple warnings to the FBI at that time, yet they continued to use it. How do you explain that?
I think that's one of the most troubling aspects of this whole thing. And in fact, I said in testimony on the Hill, I can't remember if it was my confirmation, that I said I was very concerned about the possibility that dossier and Steele's activities were used as a vector for the Russians to inject disinformation into the political campaign. I think that is something that Robert Mueller was responsible for looking at under his charter, which is the potential of Russian influence, but I think it was ignored. And there was mounting indications that this could very well have been happening, and no one really stopped to look at it.
These are very smart people who were working in the special counsel's office and in senior levels of the FBI. So what drove them here?
Well, I think one of the things you have to guard against, both as a prosecutor and I think as an investigator, is that if you get too wedded to a particular outcome and you're pursuing a particular agenda, you close your eyes to anything that sort of doesn't fit with your preconception. And I think that's probably the phenomenon we're looking at here.